What's in the sky? I'm now worried about what's in somebody's house. It was interesting yesterday. I was listening to the mayor of New Jersey. I think his name is Mellon. And he's like, well, we've heard that there may be an issue with some sort of radioactive material that went missing. But it's nothing to worry about. And I thought to myself, I do worry about that. No offense, government. I don't trust a lot of what you have to say because you do say a lot of stuff that turns out to be BS. You know it, I know it, and we all know it. So they're coming out, of course, now. And again, this is the beauty of government. Several different people, several different reports, all of them different. It's China. You got to watch out for China. My God, you heard the report there. We got to watch out for China's routers. If you have something Chinese, I'm going to tell you this. You could have bought it on Amazon. It could be a shirt. If it can, it's spying on you. Okay? I'm letting you know that right now. The 4-year-old that sewed that for you, she made sure she put something in there that can spy on you. If you've got a TV, no, it's spying on you. That's all they do. Their goal in life is to collect as much data as possible because they think for whatever reason they're going to be able to use it in the future. And the reality is they're not what they really think they are. But good luck to them. I mean, it's just it. I mean, it's that is their goal. So if you've got a shirt, if you've got shoes, they're spying on you. But when it came to this, is it possible that China? Of course China's spying on us. That's like, we know that. Like, that's the worst kept secret ever. But the whole nuclear stuff and the radiation was the thing that I was most worried about. But hey, nothing to see here.
Energy agencies knocking down news reports linking drone sightings to a small amount of medical-grade radioactive material that was temporarily lost in transit. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection issuing a statement to ABC News saying the material has been located, repackaged, and sent to the manufacturer. The National Nuclear Security Administration saying it is not currently conducting any aerial operations in that region.
I don't know if I buy all that. They're not going to tell you that that is something that you should worry about. They're not going to have people freak out. And it's not that there's going to be a nuclear bomb, but could you have a dirty bomb? Is that a possibility? Depending on what agency you follow, they believe, and Christopher Wray's even talked about this, we've never been so vulnerable when it comes to foreign terror as we are right now. It's just, since pre-2001. So you've got to expect over the last almost 4 years, how many people have gotten into our country? 10 million? Out of those, anywhere between 200 and maybe 1,200, 1,500 potential ISIS sympathizers, Al-Qaeda sympathizers, Al-Qaeda themselves, which is, I've heard a lot of, that it was first all about October 7th and helping get the plan ready for Hamas to do their thing, and then it was going to be a focus on some sort of October 7th here. Which, God willing, I hope that doesn't happen. I hope there's a lot of, panic and we think about it. But the fact that something went missing, it was that quiet, it was radiation, but we've got it all. And the nonchalant, you got nothing to worry about. It's totally fine. Sorry, I don't buy 100% of what you say. I still don't think it's aliens as much as I would like it to be. As absolute much as I would absolutely think how cool that would be. Because at this point in time, hey, let's see what they've got on offer. As much as I don't think it's that, there's a lot of weird stuff out there. And yes, I do still think it's all of ours. And yes, the Chinese are always spying. That's not very nice. It may not be not very nice, but it's honest. And that's what we want. We want honesty. But don't worry, there's no threat to anybody.
Intelligence officials insist there is no reason to suspect any threat to the public. This following a series of sightings near military sites from New Jersey to Ohio to Utah. The Pentagon now deploying additional counter-drone systems, including a so-called drone buster at 2 bases in the Northeast.
So there you go. Nothing to see here, nothing to worry about here. Let's move on. And we do that. I mean, that shooting happened the other day. We've all kind of moved on from that. There's no news here. We don't know what it was about. We're still trying to figure it out. And it's an unfortunate world that we live in that we live at a time when we're going 1,000 miles an hour, but we can just go from one point to another. The difference between certain stories and this story is how many people are seeing it for themselves. And that's why this thing is a little bit different, because now everybody sees the drones. Oh, they do. They do. I mean, you go outside and you're like, what is that? Is that a star? Is that what is that? Is that a drone? That's what everybody looks at right now. They think it's all drones. It's not all drones. And a lot of it's hobbyists. If you've ever had one, we had one. So my wife got one for our daughter like 3 years ago, Christmas. It was awesome. It was so cool for the hour we had it. Because then she flew it so far away, it disappeared and we never got it back. It was so awesome, though, because we're on the phone, we're controlling it, and it was like, oh, this is great. Look at this. We can go spy on our neighbors, right? This is awesome. But we live in the middle of nowhere, so it really didn't matter, but never saw it again. Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 ho. We moved from that to the magical world of New York. And this is interesting. So yesterday, they charged the killer of the CEO in a way that I was surprised Alvin Bragg did. For a guy who is, well, he's just full of crap. The way that he charged them said a lot, because he's moneying up. He's got his family's money. He's got a big-time attorney behind him. They think they had a plan, and the plan was worst-case scenario. Worst-case scenario, you get second-degree murder, 25 years. You'll be out in 15. You'll only be like 40, 41 years old. But
Luigi Mangione is charged with murdering Brian Thompson in furtherance of an act of terrorism. Sources say Mangione's writings described a deepening fixation on the nation's biggest medical insurer and an increasing malice toward United Healthcare's perceived greed. Prosecutors described Thompson's killing as highly choreographed violence.
And that right there, they charged him with first-degree murder, second-degree murder, and second-degree murder with an act of terrorism. First-degree murder in New York is essentially you've got to either be a terrorist, it's got to be a hitman, or you have to kill a cop or a government official. So that would be the level. Because otherwise, you're just free to, you kill somebody at second-degree murder, even you have a chance to get out. With the terror tag there and the first-degree charge, now they have a chance at life without parole. And they can stack on several of those things. So they could get him with second-degree murder, but life without parole because of the terrorist charge. And on top of that, the way that Bragg described it, it was almost as if it was a hit. It was lying in wait, which brings special things as well. Which, what's scary about all this stuff is looking at the kids, because this is the new thing, right? Palestine's kind of quieted down. It's like we were really into the Palestine thing, but then it kind of got bogged down and it wasn't as cool and she, and everybody got mad because everybody was anti-Semitic. So they've moved on now to CEOs are the new Palestine, because this young activist group of people, these are fads. That's what these are. These are nothing more than fads. So it's a fad to be all about Palestine, right? We're in the Kafiva and all of that stuff. Oh, it's a fad. It's like back in the 80s, there was kind of a fad that was a push that eventually became a movement for destroying apartheid. But this is a little tougher. So they've moved on.
These people need shirts that say, I'm upset about the latest thing.
That would be good.
You don't have to change the shirt.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually. When you think about it, it's... What's the newest thing? What are you wearing today? Oh, I was wearing apartheid for Gaza, but, today I'm wearing I hate CEOs. Oh, it looks great on you. That is fantastic.
You are owning the man.
You are so owning the man. Who made that? I don't know. Somebody in China. They're making a lot of money off it because, once again, they have no ideas. They complain about capitalism. They complain about all of these things, that all the stuff they like, all the stuff they use, capitalism delivered that to them. When they're on there complaining about, taking to Twitter or taking to Insta, that's capitalism. That's what that is. And when they say, well, TikTok is a Chinese company, understand China realized long ago, after the fall of the Soviet Union, we cannot shut ourselves off. We are not capable of being isolationists. We need to find a way to blend capitalism through slavery and many other things into our society so we can continue to hold power. Ooh.
Authorities in New York speaking out against reaction on social media to the murder of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson as they announced murder charges against his alleged killer, Luigi Mangione. One survey finding 41% of people under the age of 30 consider the actions of Thompson's alleged killer acceptable. A campaign seeking to pay for his legal defense has raised more than $100,000, and Mangione has reportedly received more than 150 deposits into his prison commissary account.
So, let's take a look at that. Those numbers are frightening. So 18 to 29, 41%. You're nuts. 30 to 39, 23%. 40 to 49, 13%. These are people who support the killing as acceptable or somewhat acceptable. And these are the same people that would come out if somebody robbed a grocery store and the clerk fought back and shot and killed somebody, that they would be complaining, how dare you do this? Because it is not about health insurance. It is not. It is about capitalism, and they always see somebody like the CEO as the big and evil, and everybody else is the oppressed. Understand, it's oppress and oppressor. That's what this is. That's the whole thing with intersectionality, where, okay, you're black, but you're black and a lesbian, so automatically you've got a rung that's higher on the oppressed scale. And that's the way they look at this. Everything is oppress and oppressor. And in their mind, anybody who, quote unquote, is being oppressed is automatically the good guy. They're the good person because they're being oppressed. And I was shocked to find out people age 70 or older, 11%. So more than 1 in 10 think that that was acceptable or somewhat acceptable. Who are you people? Shame. Shame, I say. My name's Chad Benson. I would say I'm in for Matt. Could we just be honest at this point in time? And you could be with me here, my good friend Bell, who's still headless. Matt's not coming back.
This is officially the Chad Benson show now.
It is. It is. I mean, it is Matt Murphy's.
We've got a few tweaks to make, a couple of adjustments in audio, but it's Chad Benson show, noon to 3, 99.7.
It's the soft launch right now. We go like live with the boom, boom, boom. But this is my show now, so just deal with the people. And I love hearing from all of you. You follow along across all the social media. And, of course, you can text the show. I love reaching out text. I try to reach out and text everybody back as much as I possibly can. Tons of stuff to get to today. We're going to have some fun. It's not just going to be all politics and stuff. I am going to talk about toys. The toy thing is interesting. Do I blame these groups that are complaining always about toys? No. But do I blame attorneys? That I do. My name's Chad Benson. I'm not really in for Matt. This is basically my show. It's noon to 3 right here on Super Talk 99.7. Bulwark Capital, 2025, not too far away. So you're saying to yourself, what am I doing with my retirement? Call my buddies over at Bulwark. My buddy Zach Abraham, Chief Investment Officer. He'll give you a second opinion. He'll go through your retirement account, look at everything, ask you, hey, what do you want to do with your life? Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself when you're retiring? Maybe you never want to retire. You just want to go and do something that you think is a hobby and turn it into something big. Or maybe you just want to sit on the beach and drink out of a coconut. That's always a possibility as well. He'll help you get there, and he'll show you what's going on in your account. Give you that second opinion. Maybe you're in positions you should never be in. Maybe you're too risk adverse. Let him give you a second opinion. You get one retirement, make it work for you. Call 866-779-RISK today. That's 866-779-RISK. Or go to knowyourriskradio.com. That is KNOW, yourriskradio.com to get your second opinion, your risk review from my friends over at Bulwark. It's so, I'm telling you, it's the best thing around. These guys are going to take care of you. It truly is. Measure twice in life, cut once. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk and are not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Trek 24378.
TikTok is going to get a chance before January 19th. We'll tell you about its date before the Supreme Court coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Following breaking news on Capitol Hill this morning, CNN, as we were just talking about, exclusively learned that the House Ethics Committee has secretly voted to release its report on former Republican Congressman Matt Gaetz, and it's expected to be made public. The bombshell reversal follows the committee's decision last month not to release the report.
Yeah, that's not a shocker. There's a lot of people, even on the Republican side, that cannot stand Matt Gaetz. They just can't. I know a lot of MAGA likes Matt, but I think that they are trying to do everything they can to, let's just say, stick a fork in him when it comes to him politically, especially as he eyes Florida in the governor's race.
Yeah, when he started sticking it to McCarthy, he was making a lot of enemies in that process.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people out there don't like McCarthy. Let me tell you something. That job as Speaker of the House is thankless. Your number one job is to raise money, and McCarthy was great at it. Then it's to try to get stuff through. But that you're the king of fundraising. And it's super important to raise money because you need it to fight the battles across the board. I mean, that's the most important thing for that job. And McCarthy, people, I know, they don't like him. And I've met Kevin on several occasions. He seems an okay guy. And I've met Matt. And I've told you guys, I wasn't a fan of Matt. But I don't know what's in this thing, but there was definitely a lot of stuff that he wanted. The goal was for this thing never to come out. And why they reversed is, I couldn't tell you why they reversed.
I know exactly why.
Well, I mean, there's got to be some Republicans that were fine with it being reversed too. And I wonder
without a doubt.
Yeah.
And this guy, at this point, he's resigned his seat. He has no input really anymore. And now they can bash him all they want to and look like good guys. See, we police our own.
Which is a smart thing to do. I mean, you should always police your own. And let's be real. These are all people who work for Congress. They have a slush fund that they've had for years to pay out all of the interns they tried to harass and or do whatever they did with. So let's not forget that it's a seedy place already. But there's more to it. People didn't like him, not only because he ruffled feathers, but it's a thing that I've said for a very long time. He and AOC and several others out there are celebrities. Their interest is more in online. Their interest is more on television. Their interest is more in their personal agenda than a lot of other people in politics. And so it's frustrating. I know because I saw a lot of people, oh my God, man, he's already got a new gig. And I have no idea what's in this. And that's, because remember, the Department of Justice looked and said, look, we're not going to charge him with anything. But it doesn't mean he didn't do anything wrong and they haven't found anything, out that is earth-shattering. It could change that. But there's a reason for this. And the reason isn't because they're going after MAGA. The reason is Matt Gaetz himself made himself an enemy. Even if you took Trump away, he was an enemy for a lot of people because he made everybody else an enemy. And now he is going to... Again, I have no idea what else is in here, but something's in there. And it's enough because I think the frustration also comes because I think Laura Trump is going to end up being the senator once Rubio gets in as Secretary of State. I think they're going to appoint her. And I think he wanted that, and he doesn't get along with DeSantis, and he's eyeing that big prize. And I think some people want to just say, hey, let's just finish him, and he can go do his show on One American News. Is that where he's doing his show? Is it One American News? Or it's not Newsmax? Is it? I don't know. It's one of those places. So we'll see, but very interesting indeed. Speaking of interesting, will it stay, won't it stay? My kids are worried.
TikTok had asked the Supreme Court to delay or block the impending sale deadline. For now, the justices say they're deferring that decision until after the oral argument on Friday, January 10th. The argument will focus on whether a TikTok ban would violate the First Amendment. A 3-judge panel of the D.C. Circuit Appeals Court ruled it would not. President-elect Trump has said he has a soft spot for TikTok, but the Biden administration and a bipartisan majority in Congress say the popular app risks national security in the hands of a China-based owner.
Hard to argue, but what's we talking about? I mean, Kit brought it up. What's it, the Amazon product? It's a router. Anything from China that has any electronic parts whatsoever is doing whatever it can to spy on you. It's got a part in it. I don't care if it's a tire. They're trying. Their goal is to gather all the information they can on Americans. When we come back from the break, my buddy Gordon Chang, who is probably the preeminent voice against China, has been for decades. We're going to have him on when we come back from our little Christmas break to talk about what it is that China does, why they do what they do, the gathering of information, the fact that even when you come over here, you could be here for 2 decades. But don't think there won't be a knock at the door one day because you're working at a university and they may have something you want and your grandma and grandpa still live back in China. That's what they're about. They're a win at all cost. Even if you get data, they don't know what it is, maybe one day they will. And yeah, I mean, as much as TikTok is fun and it's a giant succubus, the reality is there's no way that China's not looking at this. I don't care how much you pretend you separated them. My name's Chad Benson. This is the Chad Benson Show. Somebody just asked, where's Matt? Matt's going to go 3 to 7 after Christmas. So you've got a couple more days with Brian. Brian is retiring. Last day of his show is Christmas Eve. So this is my show now. This is the soft launch. And then after the new year, it'll be the hard launch of the Chad Benson Show right here on Super Talk 99.7.
.12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've still got some rain out there, but it is slowly but surely moving out of the way. We'll tell you what happens next during the full forecast in 5 minutes. TikTok's going to get a chance to keep from getting banned in the U.S. before that law takes effect. Here's Elizabeth Schulze.
The Supreme Court says it will hear arguments over this TikTok ban on January 10th, and that is just 9 days before the federal ban is set to take effect. They're going to be hearing arguments over whether the ban itself is constitutional. TikTok has, of course, argued that it's not, so they're going to be rehearing what the lower court in D.C. already said the TikTok ban stands.
January 6th, Selena Wang says former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney calls it lies and defamatory. That GOP House report that she should be investigated over the congressional investigation.
Donald Trump made this in a Truth Social post at about 3 a.m. this morning. He's claiming that Liz Cheney could be in a lot of trouble and that she should be investigated. So Donald Trump's post follows a report released by House Republicans led by Congressman Loudermilk that says that Liz Cheney should face a criminal investigation for her role in investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
The House Ethics Committee report on the investigation into former Congressman Matt Gaetz could be released tomorrow after the secretive panel voted with at least one Republican siding with Democrats.
We haven't heard anything out of lawmakers yet. We haven't heard anything from Speaker Mike Johnson. This is still quite late breaking. What we are hearing, though, is from Matt Gaetz, who has pushed back on this. Matt Gaetz has denied those allegations of sexual assault, sexual misconduct. He denied having sex with that woman who claims that he had sex with her when she was 17 years old. He denies paying for sex.
That's Jay O'Brien reporting. Here in Nashville, fatal crash investigators consulting with doctors to determine whether a medical issue caused the driver of a Mitsubishi Outlander crash this morning on Blue Hole Road near Tusculum Road. 68-year-old Pauline Jenkins of Nashville was pronounced dead at the hospital. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Toys. As a kid, I liked toys. Christmas was the greatest time of year, right? Santa Claus was coming. If you were good, you were going to get a great toy. And everybody...
Let's be honest. You still love toys. Yours are just a little more expensive.
A little bit more expensive. But everybody had that toy, right? Like that one Christmas, the Red Ryder BB gun, whatever it was. Like, what was yours, Belle? Like, what was that toy that you got?
The one that I had that comes to mind first that had the most impact was my first 10-speed bike.
Yeah, I remember.
Because that was freedom.
Yeah. Oh, that's totally what it represents.
Not only can I go somewhere now, I can go farther than I could before on the regular bike.
Get away from mom and dad.
And now it's time to start just getting into some illicit activities.
It's the first thing you did. All right, Ken, what was your toy? What was your go-to toy as a child?
My favorite one was the old electric football games.
Oh.
Where maybe only one or two of the players would actually go forward.
Yes.
And the rest would just...
They just shake.
But that was absolutely my favorite toy for a long time.
And for me, I got a Skyway, which was a BMX bike.
Oh, yeah.
God, I was just like, this is it, guys. I'm pretty much big time. But it was weird, too, because my birthday is Friday. So I'm a Christmas baby. Actually came home in a stocking. And I did. Yes, I still have it. My mother still has it. I came home in a stocking. But it was just, I remember, like you said, that freedom, and I got the bike, and it was cool. And it's like you always wanted to be on Christmas break, but then you got your bike, and you can't wait to get back to school because you want everybody getting your bike.
Right.
It's the greatest thing of all time.
You know, ride my bike to school.
That's it. See you later, Mom. Nowadays, you can't ride your bike to school, right? Like the police will be like, you let your kid out of your sight for 5 minutes, so we're going to have to charge you with something. Like,
yeah. You'll go to jail.
But now we don't have to worry, though, about all the dangerous things because they're out there protecting us, and this is scary. And not because it's scary because of all the scary things that could happen, because it's scary because we need this much protection.
A group called Watch has been issuing its list of worst toys for 52 years. Worst not because they're not fun, but because they might be dangerous.
In the last couple of decades or so, we've seen a lot of these same issues crop up over and over again.
James Schwartz is director of Watch.
The choking hazards, strangulation hazards, projectiles.
One item on the list, Kinetic Sand Sense, has kids as young as 3 making ice cream cones out of inedible sand.
Okay, first of all, every child is eating sand, so every child is eating some dirt. But this is probably not the same kind of sand you would eat. So Watch is one of these nonprofits. This is all they do. Somebody's got a job to go around and look at everything. Now, I got the list, the top 10 most terrifying toys. So maybe some of you are listening for your grandkids, for your kids. You might have bought one of these things. You should apparently rethink them. Let's start with number 10.
I got to jump in real quick.
Go for it.
Lawn darts are on that list?
No. That's what I tried.
What the hell?
I tried to explain that to my kids. We used to have a game where they would hand us giant darts, and your friend would stand 30 feet away.
Yes, sir.
And you would throw them trying to land into the little area. It's like playing, tic-tac-toe.
Yeah, a little circle, your hula hoop out there.
But what you were really trying to do was hit your friend.
Just to see what it would be like.
That's it. When I was a kid, like my son would say stuff like, did you have BB guns? I said, we used to have BB gun fights. What did Grandma Marnie do? They all came out and said the same thing. Don't shoot anybody in the eye. And that's it. We'd come in and we'd have welts all over us and we'd be laughing. And no 9 pumps, right? Like, because you go all the way up to 9. But no, you could only do like 5 or 6 punts. But every once in a while you'd pump it up to like 9 and you'd shoot your buddy in the butt. And he'd scream. We all got on with our life.
As soon as he screams, you're like, no, that was only 7 pumps.
Yeah, you're still in, dude. Don't tell Mom. She's going to be mad at us. So totally different, though. Like these toys, though. We never had danger like this before. The Zoo Jams Doggy Xylophone.
What?
It is a xylophone. It's one of those ones that looks like it looks like a wiener dog, and it's got the little things you can play the music on the back.
Sold.
It is it's got a drumstick handle, which could potentially be mouthed, and it could get inside and block a child's airway. Okay, there we go. So don't buy that. That is recommended for 1.5 to 4 years old. You're going to find a lot of choking. This one, though, right here is terrifying. It is the Playzone Fit Try Flyer. Recommended ages 3+. So this watch group has put this on there. because it's like a thing where so you can lay on it and you can zoom around. You can sit on your butt. You can zoom around and spin around. It's like one of those things where if you're going to move furniture, it's one of those. It's like a furniture movie thing that you put furniture on. That's what it really looks like. They don't recommend this for use without helmets or safety equipment, and never stand on it. You could say the same thing about a skateboard. I'm waiting for a skateboard to show up in something like this. We are raising a nation of VO calves. I'm not saying kids aren't, shouldn't have some protection, because when I was a kid, Lord knows I did stuff, and I'm surprised I made it. Every one of you listening right now, how many of you rode in the back of your mom or dad's pickup truck on the freeway?
No, all those people are dead.
I'm here.
I would stand up so I could feel the wind.
Yeah.
Didn't die. Not that saying, that hasn't happened. I mean, let's be real. It has.
Sure. It's dangerous.
Looking
Things
back on it, that wasn't the sharpest thing to do.
Yeah, I had Little League coaches. He would pile the whole team in the back of his pickup.
Oh, God, it was crazy.
After they had been drinking beer during practice.
Well, that's the best way. Good God. Then they've got a lot of Nerf gun stuff in here. The X-Shot Poppy Playtime. This thing can shoot up to 90 feet and may take out your eye. The Snackles Sandy is a stuffy, or it's, one of those things. It's a plush pillow. It is for ages 0+, but it could be a smothering. So you could smother it on this. I feel like you're reaching. The Click and Play toy remote set, totally dangerous. AA batteries is required. It is recommended for children's age 1+. They don't recommend this at all for kids. I mean, there could be, again, hazard to choking. My favorite one, the Wubble Rumblers Inflatable Furious Fist. Now, what is this, you're asking yourself? It's an inflatable fist. Like, that's awesome. So they said the hazard potential, blunt force and impact injuries after inflation. Remember how many of you listening right now had the giant blow up like fist that you would put on, and they weren't fists, they were just like, it was like you're putting on like balls.
Yeah, just a big balloon.
Yeah, and you'd punch each other.
Oh, yeah.
That's what they were there for. I remember one year we got boxing gloves, my buddy and I, but I only had one and he had one. So we had to box one-handed, and I punched his tooth out with my other hand because I was blocking because I ended up getting because I'm left-handed in a lot of things. Nobody cried. Nobody died. This is the kinetic sand one we've heard about. The Transformer Earth Spark Cyber Sleeve, so dangerous because it too shoots blunt force trauma to the eye.
There is no danger from any Transformer. Those are the good guys.
They are. Yeah, they are. I am Optimus Prime. The Bristle Hedgehog, totally dangerous, man. Like this thing, because the hair could come out and it could be a choking hazard.
Yeah.
Everything's a choking hazard. Everything.
Yes, it is.
Food's a choking hazard. Everything on earth is a choking hazard.
Your tongue is a choking hazard.
Is a choking hazard. And finally, the number one thing is the Pinovic Toy Colt 45 pistol. Because it could shoot out your eye and it looks like a regular gun. That's the number one thing. Which we've heard stories, obviously, of kids who have been shot and they've had a fake gun and stuff. But I don't you often wonder, based on today's sensibilities, we would never survive today. I look at my son, I'm like, did you have no idea how great it was to live when I lived? The freedoms we had.
Oh, man.
Mom and dad didn't know where you were. You know where everybody was? You didn't have a phone. You know what? You're driving down the street, all your buddies' bikes are right there. Everybody's over at that guy's house.
Yep.
We had commercials that said, it's 10 o'clock. Do you know where your kids are? Your mom and dad are like, damn, I forgot I had kids.
I have no idea where they are, as a matter of fact.
We had commercials that reminded us that we had kids.
Which in this day and age, you need those commercials in the car so you don't leave the kid in the back seat.
That's
on
right. In the heat, because you only ever do it in the heat. It is insane. And look, this isn't all because people are worried about kids. So much of this it's a litigious society. It's a litigious society. You want to trade. People say, well, what are some of the things you would change in the world of, of politics or anything you do? Tort reform on lawsuits. Just suing people for the sake of it, right? If you go to the store and you and your friends decide to get a box of detergent and eat it, I'm sorry, but Tide shouldn't be held responsible for you being an idiot. What happened to it? Like, we all got goldfish and we swallowed one. Okay, we move on with our life. But nowadays, no. No, it's like, it's so crazy. You have to, like, the ingredients are getting smaller, thank God, but the warnings are getting bigger. Don't eat the package it came in. What?
Yeah. Don't tell me what to do.
It is nuts. It is. And this is what happened. We're breeding a bunch of kids that are veal calves. His parents won't let him out of their sight. Who now, we went from helicopter parents that were kind of looking around all the time to bulldozer parents who do everything for you, including call your teachers, right? If you're in college, a professor, maybe even call your work and say, so-and-so doesn't feel good, and they're not going to come into. I mean, that is nuts. You're hearing stories about people who are bringing their parents with them on real job interviews, not a 15-year-old that's trying to get a job at Chick-fil-A, but real interviews. Like Belle's mom and dad would probably come if he's going on an interview.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
My mother would be like, don't hire him. Thanks, Mom. Oh, my goodness. And all the while parents are worried about you choking on something, they're allowing you to go on the internet and talk to a 47-year-old man in a different state who wants you to sneak out of the house because your mom and dad are mean. That's the nuts. Oh, my goodness. My name's Chad Benson. I am kind of in for Matt, but not really in for Matt. It's my show now, 12
It's your
to
show.
Yeah, it's 12 to 3. It's my show.
Chad
Matt,
Benson's show. That's what we're calling it.
That's it. It's the Chad Benson show. So, but Matt is still here. So for some people going, what happened to Matt? Matt's moving 3 to 7. Brian is kind of retiring, meandering off into the sunset. So next week, starting the 26th, Matt is a go from 3 to 7. And then you have me now noon to 3. So there you go. Reach out to us. I love hearing from all of you. You can check me out on my socials at Chad Benson Show on the Insta and the X and Twitter, whatever it's called. So much stuff still to get to. We're having fun today because that's what I do. It's not all politics. It's pop culture. It's life. That's what we do here, right here on Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens. So this company came to me about 6 years ago, and we had a dog named Doodle. We adopted him. We thought he was like 5. That's what they told us. And he ended up being like 9, and he was a cantankerous old dog. They put like Grecian formula to make him look like the minute we got home, his hair turned gray, and we're like, oh my goodness. He had issues with his hips. And this company says, hey, Chad, try this. So I knew Dr. Dennis Black, the naturopathic doctor, put it together. It was just this powder form we started putting on his food. We were worried about having to put him to sleep because he was having so much pain. Within a few months, everything had changed. We got another 5, 6, almost 7 years old. It was forever. He passed away earlier this year. It was amazing what it did for him. This stuff is vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-369. It is incredible. It's a small change for your dog that goes a long way. Now they have Meow Greens, and it's saved our cat Angus from the worst allergies you've ever seen on a cat. He had a cone of shame on. That's how bad it was. He doesn't anymore. Try a bag of Meow Greens or Rough Greens for free. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. It's a $20 value. Go to roughgreens.com. Use my code Chad. That's CHAD. That's simple and easy. So Rough Greens, RUFFgreens.com. Use my code Chad. $20 value. You cover the cost of shipping. They get it to you for free. Roughgreens.com. Use my code Chad.
Waiting for another interest rate cut? We'll tell you the latest coming up at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
For FedEx, you have until the 20th for 2-day, the 23rd for overnight, and you can even do the 24th for same day. And finally, for UPS, you've got your 3-day select and you want to ship. That's what you have to do by the 19th. Second day air by the 20th. Next day air by the 23rd.
We keep you informed in more ways than one. So if you want to get stuff to grandma's house, this is what you got to do. You got to get this stuff out fast. Now, FedEx does have a same day, and that's interesting. You got to be kind of close, I'm assuming. I know Amazon has some of those things where they have same day because we get that here. It's funny because when I lived out in the middle of the valley at the Dirt People, getting anything to me was like horse, you know. But it's cool. But you got to get ready. I mean, this is it. This is a final push to Christmas. So if you're going to start mailing stuff, better do it fast. You better do it fast. A lot of you are chiming in about our toy talk. The bag of glass, we were talking, Chris and I were talking about that earlier. If you didn't see Dan Aykroyd, who had a toy, like, I forgot what it was called, the Acme Toy Company, whatever it was, and he was on with Jane Curtin, I think. And the bag of glass was one of the toys they have. It's just a bag of glass. I don't know. It's just, and there's so many of you remember that. It was a great skit. And, you know, there was a toy that had a switchblade. It was like a little doll, like a Ken doll that had a switchblade, which was awesome. So, yes, back in the day. And tons of people, by the way, are chiming in about their time of riding in the back of the truck back in the day. Riding in the back of the truck back in the day, on the freeway, driving across country, nobody worried about anything. Now, I don't think we should do that today, but those were the days. We lived in a different time. We lived in such a different time. It was at times innocent and at other times stupid. I mean, if you're a Gen Xer, we are feral. We raised ourselves. We did things we should never have done. And that's why the millennials, alphas, and the betas, soon to be here, are kind of terrified of us because they're like, let's just leave them alone. Leave them alone. My name's Chad Benson. This is the Chad Benson Show. Again, starting officially on the 2nd, but Bell and I have changed that to today. You've got me now noon to 3. Brian will be 3 till 7 starting next week. I mean, he retires on Christmas Eve. Then you've got Matt 3 to 7 starting next week, but his official is the 2nd as well. Don't listen to that. It's officially the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Picked up a couple of problems in traffic here. We've got a crash on the East Loop downtown. Right lane blocked there at James Robertson Parkway. Then the West Loop got a disabled vehicle westbound 40 there at 65. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Waiting for another interest rate cut. Elizabeth Schulze says the Fed's expected to make one today, but what about next year?
The Fed at its meeting in September had thought it would cut rates 4 times. Now the expectation is it will not lower those borrowing costs so much. And part of the reason for that is inflation is still kind of stalling. It's still higher than the Fed wants to see. And there's a lot of uncertainty going into next year about what is going to happen to the economy based on the policies that actually get enacted under President-elect Trump.
Well, the Supreme Court says it will hear TikTok's case to not get banned. Stephen Portnoy?
The High Court says it will hear TikTok's case 9 days before the congressionally imposed ban is set to take effect. A brief order from the court says the justices have for now deferred their decision on whether to extend or block that deadline. TikTok has argued that requiring a sale of the app by Chinese-owned ByteDance violates the First Amendment. President-elect Trump has said he has a soft spot in his heart for the app. But the Biden administration and congressional leaders of both parties say it could serve as a dangerous propaganda and spy tool for Beijing.
Major reversal from the House Ethics Committee. Lawmakers voting to release that report on former Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz as soon as tomorrow. Right now in Nashville, 2 teenagers police say were involved in a series of armed robberies last year. are back in jail for an armed robbery this week. One of them, 17-year-old Sir Thaw, was given probation just 2 months ago. His bond is set at $285,000. He'll likely be slapped with a probation violation warrant. The other teenager, 18-year-old Nathan Naw, was free on bond and wearing an ankle monitor for robbing people last year at the time of this latest crime. Trump transition update. State Department Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel.
The Secretary Blinken, had an opportunity to sit down this morning with Senator Rubio. It was a good and constructive and substantive conversation.
And the DA in Georgia not giving up on that election interference case against President-elect Trump. Catherine Falders.
His legal team in Georgia has filed a number of motions on dismissing the case down there in Fulton County on the basis of presidential immunity, similar to what you've seen in New York, for example, yesterday. Now, the Fulton County DA, the recent development on that suggests that this criminal case may continue. Of course, there's lots of questions about that case. It's a state case. It's not federal. Federal ones, of course, are shutting down.
Israeli hostages taken by Hamas. Emotional testimony before the United Nations today. Chuck Severson.
His brother Or was kidnapped from the Nova Music Festival during the October 7th attack on Israel last year.
439 days of fear, anguish.
Mark Levy telling the Security Council,
Hamas's actions are not just blatant violation of international law. They are an assault on humanity itself.
Levy says his brother has a son who lost his mother in the October 7th terrorist attack.
And late breaking news on that Fed interest rate cut decision. It just cut it by a quarter point. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
So the Fed's cutting interest rates. Fantastic. It's a helper right there. It is, it's funny. I have my beef at times with Trump because I think he makes things harder on himself than he needs to. I think he has got a chance to be so transformational that I think it's going to shock a lot of people. The fact that he's looking at a Democrat to run FEMA is, people are like, what? He is going into it. I was. If you guys have ever watched Mark Halperin, he does a great job. Probably the greatest insider, I think, out there, at least one of the top 2 or 3 when it comes to D.C. and politics. But he even talked about the difference between now and 8 years ago is just, it's all over. First of all, Trump, like anybody, if you've never been in politics, by the way, coming in as president, you have no idea what you're coming into. It's like being a parent, right? You have no idea what the job is until it's yours. Then it's a whole, you could raise your brothers and sisters, but it's a different thing when it's yours. Same thing goes for being a president. The difference of being somebody who's been in public service their entire life or being a vice president is you've kind of got a feel, you've been around. It's like if you raise your little brother from the time they were basically a baby all the way up. Well, you've got a sense of what it's like to be a parent rather than somebody who's never done it and they go, here's a kid, raise it. Same thing. When Trump took over, he had no idea. He didn't have any way around there. He didn't put people in place that he probably should have when it came to being able to maneuver in and around the swamp and to deal with that stuff. He's got that now. He's got real people in place that are so much better than what he had the first time. His eyes, he's not coming in with his eyes wide out like, oh my God. There's none of that. And the other thing is, as much as the media wants to hate on him, right now they're kind of quiet. They don't know what to do. Because they can go hate on him, okay, but nobody's paying attention to you. Because that establishment media, those people have left that were watching you. Now the only people that are there are the loonies who think that everything's going to be Handmaid's Tale, right? And then that Ken and Belle and I are going to be able to get a net and go out and catch women and put you guys in the kitchen where you belong. Those people are crazy. You're nuts. But he's got the opportunity to be transformational in such a way because you've got world leaders who are looking around going, all right, look, Biden was like Obama, paralysis by analysis. They wanted so much information that it was too much information to ever make a decision. So they were always half in, half out. They drew a red line, hoping you didn't cross it, knowing full well if you did, chances are they weren't going to do anything. With Trump, they see somebody who's an adversary may go, you know what? No. Because I'm not really sure what he's going to do. So no. He's putting people in place that, are, and we could talk about the big, like Marco Rubio's a brilliant pick. Right? Pam Bondi, amazing. I think she's going to be awesome. She's got more experience than 99% of the people who ever get the opportunity to have that job because she's had it at a level like Florida. It's a big state. Very few go from there to there. So, but you look at some of the other picks and you're thinking, okay, they're coming at it as CEOs. They're coming at it in ways that are so much different. And he truly has a chance to, I think, do something here that is incredible. But on top of all of that, he doesn't have to worry about being reelected. Now, he's got to work his butt off to make sure that, yes, the economy is strong. He's got to, I think, temper the excitement of what's coming, that he's not a genie and it's not a magic thing. He's got to follow through on the promises he knows he can get done. But he doesn't have to worry about the reelection. He has to worry about midterms. But when you do what you're supposed to do, and I think he's going to do, when you put people in place that you're putting in place, that you have that kind of trust, it's a win. When he first went in, Trump is always, here's the thing about Trump. We always said what? We want a businessman. We want a businessman to run the country. Or lady, okay, now, person, non-binary, whatever. business people, like we thought, like Howard Schultz, guy who ran Starbucks. Think about Schultz that people liked. Yes, he came from nothing, super successful, the whole 9 yards. But he had to deal with something that Trump never had to deal with. Trump has always been, this is my show. My name's on the door. I run this ship. What I say goes. There is no voting on it. And that's a tough thing for a business guy to have to go into, where it's like, okay, well, you've got your say, but so does all these other co-equal branches of government and the bureaucracy. He's coming in with his eyes wide open. He's putting people around him that I think are in it for the betterment of actually changing stuff. I think Kash Patel has a chance of being amazing. I don't think, from what I understand, of the people he's appointed right now, obviously RFK gets the most noise because he's anti-vax, which he's not. He's not anti-vax. Stop with that. He's anti-vax. He has questions. You focus singularly on the vax thing. Remember, pre-COVID, it was the hippies from California that were like, oh, my God, I'm not going to give my kid that because they could get sick. And then when COVID came, the mask and vaccine became some sort of stand against Trump. So that's wacky. But that gets noise. But all the other stuff he likes and he talks about. And again, he's vaxxed. His family's vaxxed. He's not saying don't get vaxxed. Questions. Okay. Tulsi's having a tough time. She didn't wow anybody, from what I understand. I think Pete is surprising people, and I think Kash is as well. But he's got a chance to surround himself young people who have fresh ideas and who want to do something and see government as really somebody who is, they hobble America in many ways. And so they're there to be almost a referee against the chaos that government brings. And I go back to the likes of Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln won. And the three guys he beat, he put them on his cabinet. And they were almost enemies. But he recognized, to do what I want to do, I need to surround myself with certain people. And that's a tough thing for somebody like Trump. So, great CEOs will tell you this all the time. You are paid to be I have to clean up the mess that all the other smartest people can't clean up. And I have to be the defining voice in the room. But I'm going to empower people to do the things that they need to do to get the job done. And I'm going to let them do it. And I think Trump recognizes what's going on in government like never before. And I think it's going to be huge. And I think, but I always tell everybody, temper this with, he's not a genie. Because I hear a lot, he's a genie. He's going to get done. He's going to go and snap his fingers. That isn't going to happen. There's still going to be some tough, the tariff thing is very serious as far as the short-term pain. But I say, look at Milei in Argentina. He chainsawed so much. And I think this is what government looks at and is worried about, because when he went in over a year ago, right? So you got this guy that, where they say he's got Wolverine-like hair. He's got this appetite for beautiful women and sex, and he's crazy, and he's all these things, and he's an arco-libertarian economist, and he was going to chop everything down. And what has he done? They're up 4% in their GDP, and they're out of a recession for the first time since, I think, the first quarter a few years ago. They've got a surplus. Inflation is now down and manageable. And while poverty has risen, the reality of where people think things are going has given them an outlook that they haven't had in Argentina for a while. It's the third biggest economy. And Trump has the opportunity, I think, to be a game changer in a way that is so big, but it takes time. And we are very fickle in this country. Like, we will go from one place to another in a heartbeat. Like, the minute somebody gets in, we're like, I already don't like that guy. You just voted for him, but I don't like him. He hasn't even taken the job yet. Yeah, but I already don't like him. And I think where we are today and where we are a year from now, it's going to be crazy. And I will say this, I've never been the person that says, this is the worst it's ever been in America, because it's not. It's the greatest time in human history. And we live in the greatest country. But it doesn't mean it can't be greater. There's definitely issues. No doubt about that. So much stuff to get to today. My goodness, we're still talking about those damn drones. I don't even know what's happening there. Do we think that they pose a threat? No, I don't think they pose a threat. What I do think, though, is there something else out there that may pose a threat, even though they're telling us, no, there's nothing to worry about?
Energy agencies knocking down news reports linking drone sightings to a small amount of medical-grade radioactive material that was temporarily lost in transit. The New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection issuing a statement to ABC News saying the material has been located, repackaged, and sent to the manufacturer. The National Nuclear Security Administration saying it is not currently conducting any aerial operations in that region.
So what supposedly happened is radiation that was quote-unquote medical grade somehow in the transportation of it from the port or wherever it was coming from to where it was supposed to go, it was torn apart and it disappeared. But now they've got it back. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Not even politicians are buying all of that. And there is a fear factor out there that, and rightly so, that it fell into the hands of somebody who would like to do us harm. How many people do you think are here right now, if you're honest with yourself, that would love to pull a 9/11 October 7th kind of thing? I think plenty. And I think this administration has been such a nightmare, and the amount of people that got through is, for every one we got where we realized that they were bad dudes that want to do bad things, how many of those did we not catch? How many of those lied? And because we have no relationship with that country, they may be on the terror watch list. We have no idea. And Christopher Wray said it. You may not like Christopher Wray, but he was honest about it. He goes, we've never been in this situation. It is the most tense time, and we are at the most risk, pre-even 9/11. And that is a scary thing. And the fact that radiation went missing, could I see it? Unfortunately, yes. Do I think it's going to happen? No, but I think a lot of those drones were sniffing out more than they were spying on, which is uncomfortable when you think about it. My name is Chad Benson. No more Matt, unless you want to listen to him at 3, because he'll be here at 3, starting the day after Christmas. So it is my show now, noon to 3. And this is kind of like the soft launch. The big launch takes place on the 2nd of January. So it is my show. We got a lot of stuff that we're going to do here. And somebody said, well, you kind of get going. I said, well, wait till it's mine. Because, it's been Matt's. And, you know what? You're jumping in. You're doing stuff. You're helping out. You don't want to go too crazy, right? Like, don't want to show everybody you're nuts in the beginning. We're going to have a lot of fun. And we're going to talk about a lot of different things. So love reaching out to you. I love it when you get on the text line as well. Feel free to reach out to me there. Follow me at Chad Benson Show on Twitter and Instagram and everything else. This is now the new Chad Benson Show at Super Talk 99.7. Omaha Steaks, 50% off right now. Use my code Benson. Boom. $30 off at checkout. Do you want steaks that are just amazing? 5 generation of expertise, guaranteed, bite for bite, unconditional money-back guarantee. You do. They've got gift packages starting as low as $89.99. They've got stuff that, hey, they've curated perfectly for you. They got some burgers. They've got some franks. They've got some steaks. They've got some chicken. Or maybe you want to do your own, a little surf and turf. Maybe you want some wine. They've got everything for you at Omaha Steaks. I love it. I've gone through 2 packages already. I got one for Christmas, and we went through that the other day, and one for my birthday, and we've gone through all of that. It is the most incredible thing. And my daughter, who is not a fan of eating stuff sometimes, she loves their franks, and she absolutely loves their chicken. And my wife made the most incredible chicken noodle soup. This is the best meat. It's Omaha Steaks. 50% off site-wide, and right now, when you use my code Benson, when you check out, they're going to give you $30 off at checkout. And you still have time to get it there for Christmas. OMAHA steaks.com, omahasteaks.com, $30 off when you check out, omahasteaks.com. Minimum purchase may apply.
We just got another interest rate cut. And here in Nashville, 2 teenagers who police say went around robbing people last year did it again this week. We'll tell you about it at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Multiple sources tell ABC News, including our Rachel Scott, our chief congressional correspondent, that the House Ethics Committee has voted to release this long report on Matt Gaetz, the product of a months-long investigation. And it was an open question up until this point if this report was ever really going to see the light of day. It was a flashpoint during Matt Gaetz's brief confirmation period where he was Donald Trump's pick to be the next attorney general.
Not a shocker. I mean, I think at some point in time it was going to get out, but the timing, it's curious. Are they trying to stick a knife in Matt Gaetz? There's no love lost between Matt Gaetz and myself. I think he is about him. I think that's the number one thing. And several of you, when we were talking about it last hour, even chimed in and said, yeah, he does love himself some camera. Was it Terrell Owens that said, I love me some me? It's a great saying right there. I love me some me. Well, you know what? That's the first step in life, people. If you love you, you're doing good. But I've always thought it's more about him. And I don't know what's in this thing. I don't. I think that it is I think there's some stuff in here that is going to damage him enough that maybe his political career is over. Because I think he really wanted to be obviously wanted to be the AG. Well, what he wanted was not to have this thing come out. And I think what he then wanted was the hope that maybe he'd have a shot at being a senator. It's not going to happen because they're going to give it to Laura, Trump, who I think of all the Trumps, she's the one with the most upside as far as politically, right? I don't think Eric, it's fine. Don Jr., whatever. I think Don Jr. likes just running around having fun.
I can't picture her in my head. Does she have a nice upside?
Oh, huge upside. And she's the one that's, it's very huge upside. Just
because I like a nice upside.
Yeah, she's got upside and good downside as well. I mean, it's just all the sides, back. Oh, hey now. But I think she's got the look. I think she's brilliant in front of the camera. I think she has an understanding of politics. I think she's learned so much, I think, from Trump and how to be both show strength and a little bit more empathy that maybe Trump at times doesn't seem to have, which just frustrates a lot of people. But I think she has got the most upside because I don't know about everyone's like, what Eric is brilliant, right? Like, I think and I think Don Don enjoys being the ringmaster, the kingmaker, the pulling the strings behind. But I don't think he wants that position. But I know she would be brilliant. And I think that's what they're looking at. I think they're going to say, Ron, you should absolutely give her the Senate seat when Marco takes over. And she wants it too. And I think from there, because think about that. You're going to have a Trump as a president and a Trump in the Senate. Oh, my God, MSNBC was right. He's putting his family everywhere. Wasn't that the big thing? Those people that freak out on MSNBC. He's going to suspend the Constitution and make himself king. He talked today about making Canada the 51st state again, which is just so Trump. Yesterday, when he was making fun of Trudeau, he talked about he feels really sad for that state and that Governor Trudeau is having trouble. Which I thought was, because for you don't know anything, Trudeau is in so much trouble. And his one person who could save him last night turned on him. So he's done and dusted. They'll have a no confidence vote, and then they're going to go and have a vote. He's at an all-time low, and they haven't released the budget that is upside down and sideways. Because everybody who's supposed to be there releasing the budget, his finance minister, who was second in charge, she quit. Then it went to the next guy. He quit on the spot. Then it was another 2 guys who conveniently couldn't make it. And we're down at the point where it's like the guy who's ahead of the garbage and sanitation may have to deliver it. So there's Canada. That's our top hat, everybody. That's our top hat. Chad Benson in the Chad Benson Show. Again, starting the second is going to be our... Have you heard the openings yet? Quietly, Bell, have you heard the openings?
No. I'm still waiting for that.
Pretty cool. So we got the openings. It's going to be good. This is our soft launch, right? It's like one of those things where like the cookie shop opens up, but they're not opening up till the second. But the weekend before, they're kind of like, hey, let's just practice, make sure that we know how to give change. That's what we're doing right now. If you miss any show, grab our podcast. Check out everything across the board, all the stuff that we do on all the channels. I know we're on Twitch. We're on YouTube TV. We're everywhere. Grab it all, look at it all, and follow me at Chad Benson Show on Twitter, Instagram, and all the other things. It is the new Chad Benson Show right here on Super Talk 99.7.
.1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. TDOT still showing a crash, East Loop eastbound at James Robertson Parkway, and then a disabled vehicle going to be the West Loop westbound right there at 65. We just got a quarter-point interest rate cut. The Fed announcing its third interest rate cut of the year. It'll be the last before President-elect Trump takes office. Here in Nashville, 2 teenagers police say committed a series of armed robberies last year are in jail again for committing another one this week. A 17-year-old Sir Thaw put on probation just 2 months ago. The other teen, 18-year-old Nathan Naw, was wearing an ankle monitor when police say he and Thaw robbed another teenager Tuesday. Police say they arrested Naw sitting on a sofa in a home on Faulkner Drive where he had pushed his way inside after telling the residents, whom he doesn't know, nor they him, that people were after him. In our nation's capital, TikTok's getting a hearing before the Supreme Court.
TikTok had asked the Supreme Court to delay or block the impending sale deadline. For now, the justices say they're deferring that decision until after the oral argument on Friday, January 10th. The argument will focus on whether a TikTok ban would violate the First Amendment. A 3-judge panel of the D.C. Circuit Appeals Court ruled it would not. President-elect Trump has said he has a soft spot for TikTok, but the Biden administration and a bipartisan majority in Congress say the popular app risks national security in the hands of a China-based owner.
Well, the House Ethics Committee is expected to release the Matt Gaetz investigation report into allegations of sexual misconduct and drug use, which Gaetz denies, by tomorrow. Here's Jay O'Brien.
What the House Ethics Committee, according to sources, has done here at a meeting earlier this month was to vote to release this report. And that would have required Republicans crossing over party lines.
The Fulton County, Georgia District Attorney not giving up on her election interference case against President-elect Trump. His legal team filed motions to dismiss. But yesterday, Fonnie Willis urged an appeals court to reject presidential immunity. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
I don't know what that is. That's awful. Sounds like a. Can you hear it in the back? It sounds like it's like a hospital drama with a beep beep.
General Hospital.
Listen to that. Beep beep beep. We're gonna have more rocket music. I'll let you guys know that. The Chad Benson Show. So, if you listen to this, wait, Bell and I, bells, whistles, explosions. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. Brain rot is bad for you. I'm telling you that now. Because we got to watch out for it. You have no idea. Brain rot is the word of the year. But on top of that, as they look more and more into it, guess what? Our attention spans, not very big. And doom scrolling, very real.
You have other options available. You don't.
And I mean that when it comes to brain rot. When's the last time you doom scrolled or just scrolled? Any of you? I mean, do you find yourself just sometimes like an hour lost?
All the time, every day.
Yeah. Yeah. You have no idea. Like, you'll be sitting there, you could be on Reel or TikTok or Instagram, and you look up and you're like, it was 2:45, it's 3:30. What just happened to me? That's real.
Brain rot is now the Oxford University Press Word of the Year for 2024. So what is brain rot? Well, it essentially points to the warning that our attention spans are dwindling because of short form content on platforms like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram Reels, and also artificial intelligence like ChatGPT. And it's making us not rely on our brains, but rely on our devices, and in turn causing us to be skulls of mush.
I don't want to be a skull of mush, but it's so easy to see how bad doom scrolling is. But also the attention span. Man, how many times have you been scrolling and looking and something comes on and you're like, oh, that looks neat. It's only 90 seconds, but the person meanders. And you're like, I don't even care what it is, because you just wanted to get to the punchline. Just get to the punchline. That's how short our attention span. Hence the reason why something bad happens, and within 2 minutes, we're like, ooh, piece of candy. Ooh, piece of candy. Just because there's more doesn't mean it's better.
So brain rot, is it a new term? Well, no, actually, it's not. Back in 1854 is when we first heard Henry David Thoreau mention it in his book, Walden. And he just talked more about intellect as a whole just being dumbed down when we oversimplify topics as a whole. But then we've seen these technological shifts coming with 2007's iPhone release and then the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, causing us to interact with one another and interact with our devices in different ways than we have in the past.
Which is, they've become everything because they're not phones. Like we always say, I got a new phone. It's not a phone. That thing in your hand that you go and you watch TV, you do. You know what the last thing you do is? You make phone calls. You don't even need.
It's a handheld computer with a phone app in it.
That's it. It happens to make phone calls. But it's just a computer. That little phone, by the way, has way more power than what took us to the moon the first time. Way more power. Think about that, how crazy that is. But it's also made us feel like we're smarter than ever before. It has made us feel like we're more connected than ever before. And it has also, like she said, turned our brain into mush. And we got to start paying more attention to what's going on, which is hard.
I do resent that a little bit because my brain was mush well before I got my phone.
Yeah, but it was good mush because like maybe you were like living a rock star life. It's a totally different thing, right? Like your brain's mush because you lived a rock star life. Well, you know what? You got something out of it. If it's only because you stared at a tiny screen, that's not good. My kids now watch shows on and I'm not talking about on Hulu, and I'm not talking about on Netflix because everybody does that, I think, at this point in time. They actually watch television shows based on a minute clip here and a minute clip there. It is so bizarre. And then I got sucked into it. That's why I watched Landman. If you've never seen Landman, by the way, best show on television. Best show on TV. But I got hooked on it there. Like flipping around, and they would have Billy Bob, doing something here. And it's Billy Bob. It's just great. But it's awesome. That's our attention span, though. It's this weird thing where we just want to, Give us what we need, whether it is that, going in the Pavlov dog thing where you can get a like or something like that, or the thing we want, the algorithm picks it up and it boom, boom, boom. That's why the algorithm is the most important thing in all of this.
So I talked to a media psychologist, and he says these platform engineers are geniuses, and they are essentially tapping into a psychological flaw in our limbic system that causes humans to seek random intermittent rewards.
Someone's thinking about me, and I just can't resist it, so I have to reach. Oh my gosh, call cash. I got calls cash. That's awesome. But then I'm in. And so like a slot machine, they were very, very brilliant when they created all of these platforms.
Think about what we see in Vegas, pulling the slot machine. He says it's very similar to doom scrolling. So what we're seeing in Vegas is something we're carrying around in our pockets every single day.
If you've ever been to a casino where they've got slot machines and those people are sitting there and they look like they're zombies, and they're just hitting. It's Pavlov dog, hitting over and over. It's creepy. It is so creepy. And we don't want you to be that way. We want your attention span to be big. We want your mind to be vast. And understand that none of this is going away. It's like people ask me, do I let my little 6-year-old? She's got her own tablet. We set what's on there. She plays some games. She's got a time limit, though, and it's her time limit she sets, because she's got the wiggles and boom, she's gone running around doing stuff, and her imagination's crazy. But I always tell everybody, I introduce her to that because A, show her responsibility. B, we're not going backwards. There's no horse and buggy coming, okay? That's like with the AI thing. It's not. It's out of the bag. It's not going anywhere. That isn't going to happen. And partly because it's now figuring out how to talk to itself and train itself and talk to other AIs, which is scary, but that's another story. But we're not going horse and buggy unless something goes really sideways. And then again, Gen X wins it all.
In Australia, there actually has been a social media ban that just passed. This first in the world law to ban social media for kids under the age of 16. I talked to the person who was leading this push. Let's take a listen to that soundbite.
There's a direct correlation between the rise in anxiety, depression, eating disorders, self-harm and suicide amongst teenagers and the introduction of social media into their world.
And so while some critics say that this ban is overboard and it simply goes too far, that they ought to make the platforms improve themselves instead, Marky, most experts do agree that some sort of guardrails need to be put in place, not just by parents, but by potentially even our government.
No. And even when it comes to the guardrails for these big companies, it's tough. And you got 2 billion people, in the space of 2 weeks or a week using your product. And in some cases, 1 billion people a day using it. How are you going to put a guardrail in that? Honestly, there's only so much you're going to be able to do. And, you hope they do the best they can and they're actually looking for that. And we saw what happens when they overreach, right? We saw that in 2020 when they shut everybody's down when it came to anything, whether it was COVID. You couldn't even bring up the subject of does the mask work? Did it really come from a lab? Those you couldn't even bring that up. So we saw what happens. We don't want government involved in any of these things. And I don't know how Australia's going to do it, because Australia's thing is they're going to hold the feet to the fire of all of these companies. Okay, great. And they're going to charge them what? What if you get around, as many of you listening right now, you've got kids or grandkids, they're way ahead of you when it comes to technology. They'll figure it out. So what if they get on and they're not supposed to and somehow they're found out? How are you going to go after them? What if you as a parent lied, because you're going to get a lot of that? What if you, as a parent, lied and allowed your kid to get on there? What happens then? It's just about personal responsibility. It's the thing that frustrates me when yes, we spend too much time on, I am guilty. Many of you probably listening are super guilty as well. Hell, you're watching me right now, some of you, on something. Guilty. But it's still about personal responsibility. And the government they love to take that responsibility away from you. And we can't have that. We have to be able to govern ourselves to make our own decisions. But it's also one of those things where we don't need snuff videos on Twitter, because you can find stuff that is just heinous all over. We don't need those things. And they police them as much as they possibly can. That being said, it's not perfect. But a lot of that's also on us, because the parents out there, myself included, I get sucked into this stuff. Because you can get lost doom scrolling. And doom scrolling doesn't mean you're just looking for negative news. It just means you're spending an hour or 2 hours of your time wasting time. I bet if we went and looked, because you get that report. Do you get a report? I get a report every week of how long I was on the phone and stuff. And
And you how do you get the report?
They like if you've got an iPhone, or if you've got even the newer Androids, they'll tell you you were on your phone 14 hours and 72 minutes. 14 hours and 7 minutes last week, and it could break down like what app you were on the most.
Oh, I don't need that kind of paper trail.
No, because it'll make you go, oh. And some of it's needed. I do work on there, right? Because I'm traveling a lot. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I do work on there. But some of it, I'll tell you what. Oh, the waste. Maybe the waste. How, if you could get that time back, I bet you, it used to be, remember, it was how many hours a week you were stuck in traffic. Over the year, I was stuck in traffic for, 16 days over a year. Now it's you were on your phone wasting time for 2 months. and you put the 16 days in there as well, because you're on your phone when you're in your car. Oh, jeez. Oh, my goodness. My name's Chad Benson. There is no in for Matt. Matt is on at 3 starting the 26th, because some of you are trying to figure out, well, what's going on? So Brian, as you know, is retired, stepping away, meandering into retirement. Not fully gone, but not doing the show anymore full time. That'll be Matt. Matt starts on the 2nd, but he'll actually be doing the show starting next week, because we're a week away right now, right? Isn't that from Christmas? So next Thursday, Matt is back 3 to 7 doing that show, which will still be Brian's show. Well, it won't be Brian's show at that point in time, because he'll be retired. So it officially is. So I'm taking this. That's what we decided today. None of this stuff. I'm here. I'm doing it. So get ready for it. It's a Chad Benson show. We do a lot of different stuff. And once we really get going, again, we're going to have a lot of fun, talk about serious stuff, but it's a going forward thing. People say, do you take phone calls? I don't take a lot of phone calls, if at all. But I do reply to everybody as much as I can on the text, and feel free to DM me, send me stuff in the Instagram and everywhere else that we're out there, in Twitter, and we love you. Follow it at Chad Benson Show. More fun stuff to get to. I promise you, we'll make you laugh. And we've got some more politics and the drones. Are they still there? Of course they're still there. Why are they there? It's a great question. Chad Benson, right here, Super Talk 99.7. Raycon, best earbuds around. I wear my Raycons every day. I do a lot of stuff in audio and even video at times. And having earbuds that don't hurt my ears is so important. And I wear my everyday earbuds all the time, sometimes 6-7 hours a day. And why they're amazing is I've had earbuds that are supposed to be the best. They're name brand. They got stems, this, that, and the other, and they hurt my ears. And the sound quality may be great, but they hurt my ears, so I don't care. You get the best of both worlds with the everyday earbuds from Raycon at a price that won't break the bank. They start well under $100. So you go to buyraycon.com/Chad and use that. 25% off site-wide. You get a 30-day happiness guarantee. Still in time to get great deals on everything they do. But this is the best sound quality, active noise cancellation, multi-connectivity, fast charging, 8 hours of talk time, 32 hours of battery life, and time to get there for the holidays. If you want the best sound quality with the best fit, period, case closed, I've said it. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad today. 25% off right now site-wide. Buyraycon.com/Chad.
Another interest rate cut. Signs the Fed might not be as aggressive next year. Details coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, good luck with that. Trump is going to do everything to get in there and make sure that they cut. Walmart, coming soon. Body cameras?
Walmart is cracking down on shoplifting this holiday season, now testing body cameras for store employees. Walmart not revealing many specifics, saying this is a pilot we are testing in one market and we will evaluate the results before making any longer-term decisions. CNBC reports a company document instructs employees to record an event if an interaction with the customer is escalating.
So the way that they're testing this is they're not worried about whether or not you're stealing because they're assuming you already are. It's Walmart. But what they are looking at is the interaction with the customer, and are their customers being abused? And can they CYA themselves when you try to sue them later on because, you've accused them or something? They say they're not looking at the stealing side of it. They've tried this at TJ Maxx and a few other places. It's sad. Everybody's like, well, we got to. No, you shouldn't have to do this. You shouldn't. You shouldn't have to do this because we've got so much crap locked up. We've got too many people out there who feel that it's absolutely fine to take something. And again, no wonder that people feel that it's okay to shoot a CEO and then go in and steal something because they're stealing from you already. That is not a good place for us to be in America. No way. So they're going to put these on. Well, they're going to put these on people. They're CYAing themselves. So don't be surprised if and they're testing it in Texas and then a few other places. If you start to see this where you're going in and whether it's their person at the front, right, who's greeting you and supposedly always looking at your receipt, but they look at your receipt at Costco. You know what they don't do at Walmart? Really look at your receipt. That person smiles and just goes, yeah, you look like you wouldn't steal something, and then waves you through. But they're going to start out with those, and then some other people on the floor are going to have them. And they say they're worried about the way their people are treated. But it's also an insurance issue because they're worried that their people may be getting into some scuffles that may cause liability for them. It's the new world now. And we talked about toys earlier, and everybody freaking out about, oh, my God, you got to wear a helmet even when you're, sitting on a couch. So this is the world we're in now. Too many damn lawyers. My name's Chad Benson. It's the new Chad Benson Show. It's the soft launch. The big launch comes on the 2nd. Coming up, Cameron Smith is here. He was not supposed to be here. If Matt would have told him, hey, I'm not working today. But instead, he showed up, and I said, Matt, come on in. Cam, come on in. Let's have some fun. So you're going to be joining the program straight ahead. It's the Chad Benson Show right here at Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got some problems in traffic. I'm looking over here eastbound to East Loop at James Robertson Parkway. Got the right lane blocked by a crash. Looks like TDOT's reporting the West Loop, 40 westbound. Got a stabled vehicle there at 65. And then in Smyrna, we've got a stalled vehicle on the left shoulder, causing a bit of a delay, 24 eastbound near the Rocky Fork Road overpass. And we just got another interest rate cut. Here's Elizabeth Schulze.
A quarter-point rate cut from the Fed as expected. That marks the third interest rate cut in a row from the Fed. The Fed now bringing down those rates, but notably it does now expect fewer rate cuts next year. The Fed's projections now looking toward closer to 2 interest rate cuts. The last time it gave those forecasts, it had thought it would do 4. So what that's saying is that there is a little bit more uncertainty in the economy about what the path for borrowing costs looks like.
And the U.S. Supreme Court says it will hear TikTok's case against the law requiring the app be sold by January 19th. That law says if the extremely popular app isn't sold by then, it would be banned in the U.S. Oral argument set for Friday, January 10th. The House Ethics Committee making a reversal, could release its investigation report into Matt Gaetz tomorrow.
What the House Ethics Committee, according to sources, has done here at a meeting earlier this month was to vote to release this report. And that would have required Republicans crossing over party lines.
Fox News says at least one Republican did. Elsewhere in the House, Republicans seem to be siding with President-elect Trump and seem to be investigating former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, whom Trump says should be investigated for the congressional investigation into the January 6th riots at the U.S. Capitol. Emotional testimony before the UN Security Council today. Mark Levy marking a second birthday without his brother Or, who was kidnapped by Hamas from the Nova Music Festival during the October 7th attack on Israel.
I'm not asking for any presents, celebrations, or even a cake. My only birthday wish is sitting in a Hamas tunnel waiting to be brought back to his son. Bring my brother home. Bring them all home.
Here in Nashville, Metro Police say 2 teenagers who committed a series of armed robberies last year are in jail again for holding up somebody on Tuesday. One of the teens, 17-year-old Sir Thaw, got probation just 2 months ago. The other teenager, 18-year-old Nathan Naw, was actually wearing an ankle monitor for past crimes at the time of the crime this week. Fingers crossed for clear skies this weekend. Chuck Severson says there's expected to be quite a nighttime show.
The Earseeds meteor shower peaks Sunday, a few days before Christmas. Usually not as bright as the Geminids, the Earseeds are generally sparse with about 5 to 10 visible meteors per hour under the best viewing conditions, say the experts. But in 1945 and 1986, the Earseeds produced up to 100 meteors per hour, and that unpredictability keeps sky watchers interested. Most meteor showers come from debris of comets. The Earthseeds will stick around until December 26th.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Cameron Smith's here. He was not told that Matt Murphy is no longer part of the show. And so Cam's like, hey, pops in. He goes, hey, I didn't know you were here today. Do you want me? I'm like, hell yeah, I want you. Yes, he is.
Yes, he is. And I've said this for weeks now, actually, that having Chad here is, what's the word? I would upgrade.
Upgrade.
Okay.
Wow.
And
wow. Talk about coming down from the top rope.
Look, I mean, guys, we've had an ongoing relationship at this time slot on Wednesdays. We've had an appointment where we yell at each other, talk about football, have all the things, but I'm still here. Chad's here. Matt Murphy?
Not here.
No.
And didn't even give you the courtesy, brother.
No, he didn't call me or anything.
I'm sure there's ways to make it feel like he's here.
Well, I hate you, Bell. You're the worst.
Is that the
Georgia Fight song?
It is. They have to play the music like that. When you can't read, you have to listen. It's melodic. It's a thing. But yeah, I'm glad to be here and glad to have you here. And yes, Matt is going to the next slot, but I think this is a good slot.
It is.
I like the noon to 3. This is, hey, we're trying to focus on work things here, people.
Yeah, they tried to make me go work with Matt in afternoon drive, and I was like, to hell with you. I don't do it.
I want off at 3.
Well, so
and for anybody watching the Super Text line, the Super Talk TV, Cameron did shave his beard off, and he looks like he's about 12 now.
I didn't recognize him. At first, I was like, did he dye his hair?
Yeah. I actually returned the favor because the first time I met Chad, I was filling in for Matt, and Chad just wandered in and sat down. And I'm like, and nobody had told me that Chad was coming in or anything like that. And I'm like, who is this guy? What is going on? And so I just did the same thing to him. So, turnabout's fair play.
Turnabout is fair play. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. It's been this time of year, and you know this because you're kind of a policy wonk, and that normally this time of year it's just quiet. Not a lot's going on. I got all this chaos and craziness going on with the drones and whatnot. But I wanted to hit you up because you wrote some stuff about the Chuck Mangione. Not Chuck Mangione. You guys get where I'm going. It was a joke. But the Mangione thing. And yesterday they came out with charges.
Yeah.
And I think it surprised people because a lot of it was only second degree, but they threw a terrorism charge in there as well. Because I think they want to make sure you're never getting out of jail, not 25 to life and out in 15.
Yeah. Well, this New York. And so New York's like, well, we don't do the Southern justice thing. This is, hey, we're going to do the second degree murder. And then it was first degree murder with, I think it was terroristic intent or something like that. Yeah. That's the aggravating circumstance that allows in New York to charge at that level. And what I wrote about was I've just been shocked at the number of people who said, well, we really appreciate what you did there. The whole murder thing.
Yeah. Well, we were going over it earlier. I think it was Axios had a poll that 18 to 29, 41% say that's good work.
Yeah. So that actually dovetails nicely with I wrote 2 different pieces, one at the Tennessee and one over at AL.com, but really the sense of our on-demand culture has created this. Like this phenomenon of I am righteous, my opinions are the best, and I don't have time to convince you, don't have time to use the electoral process, don't have time to persuade a legislator. I'm just going to take matters into my own hands. And I think that polling data you just mentioned dovetails nicely with that narrative of we've allowed our younger people to be fried and believe that they are entitled to get what they want when they want it.
Yeah.
And that's a huge problem when what you want requires you to engage in a symbolic killing. I mean, that's just nuts.
It is nuts. Well, I mean, and we were just talking earlier about the whole thing with, because of technology, we have a shorter attention span than ever before. That plays into everything in life. We're impatient with everything. But this thought process of killing somebody and giving it a thumbs up, it is so bizarre. You've got a CEO of a company, a socialist company, that's got playing cards with CEOs' faces on them and targets on the back. So you can play like a game, on how you can kill these people. And he goes, I don't advocate for violence. It is, again, this weird world where we've got young kids who not only think their opinion matters, but the old way of doing anything about even CNN goes, look, none of this stuff is based in going in, actually being an activist, trying to get laws changed, trying to influence. It's just, I want it now, fix it. And the funny thing is, we're all frustrated with health insurance. And the people who love health insurance are the people who never use it.
Right.
But they have it there as a backup camera. That's it. They never use it when they have to use it and get into it. And then you're calling you're on the phone for hours. And that is frustrating.
Well, this is what's so dumb about all this is that we have a basic concept of a thing, right? It is, we're going to insure you against these worst type of risks. And then we said, well, we're going to tie it to employers. And that's going to sort of not make it exactly a free market. Oh, and you got to cover certain things too. We're going to require you to do that. And well, people who don't need it have to have it too, so that the people who do need it don't have to pay as much.
Yeah.
The whole system is ridiculous. I'm all about having that discussion. But the moment that you say, we can kill you because we don't like your company or your values, the whole thing the whole system in America falls apart.
Yes.
That we have decided as a society that we resolve our most intractable conflicts with voting. With fundamentally, we don't agree. We go to the polls. We vote. We decide. The legislature, they vote. That's the law. We agree to this. If we stop that and say, well, we agree to it except for when we don't, and then we can do what we want, America's done.
Yeah. Oh, completely. And you know, it's funny. I've been talking about this since this happened. I said, this was never about healthcare. The healthcare place is a great place to attack. But when you look at all of this was always about capitalism. Mm-hmm. This younger group thinks capitalism is evil. Everything that they love, whether it's the television shows they love or their phone, the shoes they wear, all of that stuff, capitalism gave them that. And the crazy thing is they think everything is greed. Everybody who got somewhere, Cameron, you stepped on somebody's back. You crushed them. Mm-hmm. You had to oppress them to get where you're going. It is not just about healthcare. It's about the entire system. They want it to fall apart because somewhere there's a utopia where this is going to be perfect. And that's not true.
No, but this is how you get control. Is you take the mediating institutions, the church, the family, these things that sort of stabilize society, and you just start wiping them out one by one, right? And then you get to this place of moral relativism where can we really know that a man is a man or a woman's a woman? Do you really know that the sky is blue? Is it real? And
2 + 2 is 5.
Ish.
And
you know what's funny? We're coming full circle because you know what the original sin was? What the serpent said in the garden? Did God really say that? It was an erosion of truth. It was, let's just kind of weaken the foundation of what's reality. There was no ambiguity for Adam and Eve. God said, hey, here's all this stuff. Don't mess with that.
Yeah.
The serpent said, well, did God really say that? This isn't a church sermon, but our culture's experiencing the same thing.
100%.
It's just, well, truth, your truth or my truth? Which truth are we talking about? Well, that's a lie because there's just truth.
Yeah, that's it.
There's none of this.
Well, that's what Churchill
personalized
said.
truth.
That's what
Right.
Churchill said. There's this, that, but in the end, truth is still just the truth, essentially. And I don't think people don't get any younger generation. There's a lot of younger generation that gets it. Especially, it's weird, the millennials and the first beginning of Gen Z. Maybe not so much, but like the Alpha Gen. They get it. There's a certain sense of like, that's baloney. You guys are full of crap. You know, 2 + 2 is 4. I don't know who's telling you this stuff. And I think there's hope there. But you're so right about this instantaneous stuff that drives me crazy because, and I think part of that is, yes, the computer world, we want stuff instantaneously, but also mom and dad. You know, we always hammer millennials and these snowflakes. Who raised them?
Right.
Right? Like they didn't raise themselves. Gen X, I'm Gen X. I raised myself. But these kids were raised by other people, right? The parents made their world they went from, we were talking earlier from the helicopter parenting to now it's the bulldozer parenting.
So, you know, some of the listeners know that my family, we're therapeutic foster parents. And I talk a lot about fostering. And one of the things, I was at a bank event and one of the gentlemen said, well, I'd be concerned about the safety of my bio children. how do you address safety concerns with your kids? And I responded to him and I said, I'm concerned that they may not be the kind of men who know how to do what's right even when it's hard. Their safety is a secondary concern to that.
Yeah.
And he looked at me like I was crazy, and then he was like, maybe safety and comfort and all the things we say we want aren't really what we need.
No.
And I coach youth football. I would ask every player at the beginning of the season, who wants to be a great football player? Everybody raises their hand. How many of you are willing to do what it takes?
Yeah.
And then they start to think. And then they're like, this guy hit me, and I don't think I like it. And that's the difference. In our culture, what's happened is we got a lot of people that want a lot of things, but aren't really willing to do what it takes.
It's always like you see somebody like David Beckham or Brad Pitt, and they've got a six-pack or whatever. Right. Everybody wants that. Nobody wants to put the hours in the gym or any of that stuff. And when I played soccer in Europe, I got one of the best advice I've ever got was a guy who was one of the great players of all time. He said, I never got paid to play. I got paid to practice.
Right.
Because that's where everything's made. It's the practicing, putting time and effort in. And we want everything instantaneously. I said, my attention span, there's times when I'm doom scrolling and I shouldn't be. And I'm like, this thing's 90 seconds. And it's like, just get to the punchline, right? Like, I'm curious about it, but I want to hear you ramble for 3 minutes.
Well, I just, and for those of you all who are watching, you can see my phone. I just tell people this is cocaine.
Oh, it is.
Okay? So the thing in your hand that you're carrying around that you can't separate from your body is cocaine. Treat it like that. Because at the end of the day, if you saw people just like, well, I got to go use the bathroom. Let's do some cocaine.
Yeah.
If you fill in the blank with when I'm doing this activity, I'm doing cocaine, because I can talk to you about the brain science and everything. Then you start to realize like, man, that would mean I have a real drug problem. And the answer is you do.
Yeah, we all do.
Right.
And it's a weird thing. It's like, because, and this, you and I do work on this.
Right.
Everybody kind of does work. It's a necessary, it's like having treatment for chronic pain. You need certain things because you do have chronic pain. But then you can go too far, and the next thing you know, you're an addict, and you're doing things on the street for money.
The difference between an addict and what we have here is that everyone's addicts.
Yeah.
So if everyone's an addict, no one's really an addict. Yeah. It's reasonable. And I tell myself, I'm like, well, I got to post content. I got to keep up with current events. And I also need to watch this hydraulic press smash those jelly beans a lot. And so I think we've just got to be honest about that stuff. Do even simple things like turn your phone on grayscale. Make it less appealing, because we are biologically, these guys are so good at designing a consumable that hooks us on a biological level. And then we wonder,
Pavlov's dog,
how did we get here? This is weird. I'm so excitable about random stuff.
That doesn't mean you need to talk smack on the industrial press.
No,
it's
it doesn't.
very important content there.
That's a set aside. Anything that I like is protected.
Of
and
course.
Things I don't like, we can get rid of.
It's protected.
They should be banned.
Right. Ban it.
Cam in here for Cam today because Matt's not here, but Cam came in anyways, and that's what's awesome about it. We got a lot of stuff to talk. So we'll talk about drones, a bunch of other things. My name's Chad Benson. This is the show now from noon till 3 every single day. It's a soft launch, but the big launch is coming on the 2nd. Matt will be in starting next week, the day after Christmas. It's his show from 3 to 7, so be prepared for that. This is Chad Benson right here on Super Talk 99.7.
Well, it's.
Hey kids, MyPillow right now, $14.88 for the MyPillow. Lowest price it's ever been. You can get any size you want. As far as like if you want, it's stuffed full of MyPillow stuff that fill. It's great. If you want a little bit, you got that. Deep discounts on everything, but it's $14.88 for the MyPillow right now. Classic, baby. So what are you waiting for? Still in time to get it there for Christmas. They're going to give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, limit 10. They've got tons and tons of deep discounts on the slippers, the sandals, the mattress topper, which is my favorite. You name it, they've got it. 10-year warranty, made in the USA, which is awesome. They've got towels, they've got pet beds, but the classic MyPillow, the one that started it all, lowest price in history. Just $14.88. Go to mypillow.com/Benson. Use that code Benson. That's mypillow.com/Benson. Mypillow.com/Benson.
CEO murder suspect waives extradition. Another interest rate cut. These stories and more at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Cameron in the house because Matt told him nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
He didn't say, hey, I'm not going to be there. I'm going on a little break vacation for the holidays, and I'm now on 3 to 7. He just didn't say anything until last you came here.
Yeah. And I told Matt that I would tell people that that's the reason this studio smells like feet is because of him. Just saying.
Well, you're not making that up, though.
Yeah, when he takes his shoes off. And, guys, the locks for Trump, I mean, I don't know how many times he's washed those locks.
When is he cutting that?
I don't know. I've asked him.
Is he going to cut it?
He considers his obligation done by Inauguration Day, but he said he might decide to keep it through the first 100 days.
Okay. I think he's enjoying it now.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I think he feels like he's Samson.
I don't think Erica's too down on him.
But
there's some things. So when I looked in the mirror and I realized that I looked like somebody from Al-Qaeda, I knew I needed to shave my beard and kind of clean up a little bit. And
now you look like somebody from Junior Al-Qaeda.
Like
Junior Al-Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda scouts?
Yeah. You know that's probably a thing, right?
There probably is. Al-Qaeda scouts. Look, you got your big blowing up badge. Congratulations.
Yeah, the problem is they don't really graduate out of that once they explode themselves.
Well, once you explode yourself, there's no coming back from this. I just let you guys know that. You know, you heard there about the loony that is Mangione. I know they're going to try to, Chuck Mangione, if I always like to call him. But Mangione, the thought process is his new attorney was going to try to go for insanity. You could hear it because she even talked about that before she was his attorney. And I'm like, it's never going to happen. That rarely happens.
Yeah. I mean, basically, do you have the capacity to have an understanding of the wrongness of your actions? Yeah. And I think he does. And the information that's been put out there so far about, hey, I'm sorry if this causes trauma. you don't apologize for something you don't think is wrong.
Yeah.
And so he knew it was wrong. He just felt it had to be done.
I always go back to the Ed Gein, who was what every serial killer movie's ever been built on, every horror movie's ever been built on. Ed Gein, Leatherface, and Anthony Perkins when he played in Psycho, all of that was based on him. They said till the day he died, he was in a mental institution. He never knew he did anything wrong.
Right.
It was just, that was normal what he did, killing and then making, body part like lampshades and stuff. He didn't understand the difference between right and wrong. This guy apologized in a book.
So, incidentally, I mean, some of the kids that we've engaged, because we engage kids with a lot of trauma, I've interacted with some kids that they really struggle to do that, to understand the wrongness of their choices. For them, it is just a choice. It is left or right. Right and wrong is not a moral weight. It is just an option in a decision tree. And when you see that, you understand that it is very different than somebody that thinks they're doing a symbolic killing to make a point.
Yes. And by the way, look who just wandered into the studios.
Oh.
Mr. Matt with his hat. Thank you. Cameron showed up today. You had no idea Cameron was going to be here because there you go.
Are we sure that's not the DoorDash guy?
No, that is not.
Hey, there's no reason he can't be both.
I like it.
Look at that. He looks like an extra in a Jason Statham movie that's about to fight him in front of a truck and get his butt kicked.
If you want to sponsor Matt Murphy, he is interested. So he will deliver food for sponsorships.
So, but it is funny that the right or wrong thing is so crazy, because I think you have, like we were talking about earlier with the kids today, they don't see something wrong in the killing of somebody because they think the end justifies the means. And it is, I'm always fascinated by that, because I've got young little brothers and sisters. My family's a little bit like yours. My mother's adopted my 7 brothers and sisters who are my nieces and nephews, because my sister's a whack job. And, we've got a couple of them who are defiant disorder, who have, and by my little brother Elijah, God bless him, and you guys will hear about him on the show, and he's probably going to come visit us. When he's with me, he's great. When he's with my family, he's got people that come every single day, get him ready for school. He's got people that stay with him at school, and he's got people come at night to make sure he's doing the things he has to do. It's a tough world. It is.
When you see somebody that's suffering from ODD, RAD, a number of it really puts things in perspective.
Oh, yeah.
And so this Mangione guy, like, he is a privileged dude that got a little into his own head and then decided his viewpoints were really important and he couldn't wait, and he had to make a symbolic gesture that involved taking away a father of 2 and a husband.
Absolutely.
And that's why he's a monster, not a hero. And we got to get over this idea that, hey, because we don't love the health insurance industry, count me in there. Yay. Okay. That doesn't mean that we need some symbolic killings.
Yeah.
That's just not a thing.
If that's the way we start settling things, it is going to get ugly fast. Cameron, in like he was supposed to be. Matt just came out. I think he dropped. What did he drop off there? Is that some liquid libation?
He brought me a bottle of tequila for Christmas and a cat calendar.
Okay,
It's a pretty common combination.
I'm not quite sure what the cat calendar is for, but you know what, dude?
Because I'm a cat guy.
You do you. That's all that matters, Bill. You do you. You're a cat guy.
Yeah, well, you tell me to do me when I'm in junior Al-Qaeda.
Al-Qaeda Scouts.
I hear it's a blast.
It is a blast. That's right. Come to Al-Qaeda Scouts. It's a blast. Right, coming up, a lot of stuff. Cameron and I are going to talk about all kinds of stuff. I want to talk about the drones, a bunch of other things. And then, we're just having fun here. Again, it's Chad Benson Show. It's new. It's noon till 3 every day. Matt is still here. So when you text and you're like, oh, my God, where is he? He just came in. He starts doing his thing 3 to 7, starting the day after Christmas, right here on Super Talk 99.7.
.2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. CEO murder update. Luigi Mangione has waived extradition and is expected to be returned to New York as soon as tomorrow to face charges in the shooting death of Brian Thompson. The interest rate down another quarter point today.
The economy is strong overall and has made significant progress toward our goals over the past 2 years.
As Fed Chairman Jerome Powell, TikTok will get a chance to argue against its ban before the U.S. Supreme Court. Oral argument set for January 10th, 9 days before that law takes effect, that says if its Chinese parent company doesn't sell it, it's banned in the U.S. The House Ethics Committee investigation report of sexual misconduct and drug use allegations against former Congressman Matt Gaetz could be released as soon as tomorrow. And the panel's reportedly siding with President-elect Trump when it comes to former Republican Congresswoman Liz Cheney.
Donald Trump made this in a Truth Social post at about 3 a.m. this morning. He's claiming that Liz Cheney could be in a lot of trouble and that she should be investigated. So Donald Trump's post follows a report released by House Republicans led by Congressman Loudermilk that says that Liz Cheney should face a criminal investigation for her role in investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
Selena Wang in Washington. And in Georgia, Fani Willis asking an appeals court to reject presidential immunity in the election interference case against President-elect Trump. Here's Catherine Falders.
The Fulton County DA, the recent development on that suggests that this criminal case may continue. There are a lot of questions surrounding that once Trump goes back into the White House, so that still remains to be seen as how that will move forward. But certainly it is stalled for the foreseeable future.
And here in Nashville, police working to determine if a medical issue caused a crash this morning. 68-year-old Pauline Jenkins was driving a Mitsubishi Outlander that lost control into a ditch on Blue Hole Road. She was pronounced dead at a hospital. She had run over a mailbox before going into the ditch. There wasn't much damage to the vehicle. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Raycon, best earbuds around. I wear my Raycons every day. I do so much editing and all kinds of stuff. I'm always doing stuff. I got another show. I wear my Raycons because they don't hurt my ears. I can wear them all day. The everyday earbuds from Raycon. Fit, feel, comfort, active noise cancellation. This incredible, and I love this, fast charging, which I need sometimes. They get 8 hours of talk time, 32 hours of battery life. We're talking about premium audio at a price that's not going to break the bank. Top of that, you get a 30-day happiness guarantee. If, for whatever reason, you're not happy, you send them back. They give you your money back. No questions asked. It's that simple to get the best audio around. No stems, no wires, just premium audio. Go to buyraycon.com/Chad now. Save 25% site-wide. I swear by these things. I love these things. These things get me through the day. Sometimes I am doing stuff 6, 8, 10 hours on top of all my radio stuff. I need these. You will love them as well. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. I had no idea that Bell was a cat guy. Do you have a cat?
I have 2.
I love cats. And cats are great because I'll see you guys in a week. And they're like, whatever. Like a dog, you go outside for 2 seconds, come back. They're like, we never thought you were coming back. We thought this was it. We were going to have to eat ourselves.
I love dogs. I respect cats.
Yeah. Cats are great.
Belle also has a cobra. I mean, so there's that.
Say it correctly.
A what?
Say it correctly.
What?
I have an emotional support cobra.
Emotional support cobra.
An emotional support cobra.
Yes.
What did I see yesterday was this guy walking on a plane with his service Great Dane.
As you do.
I'm like, that's a little bit much.
Well, we have Maximus Decimus Meridius, our bearded dragon.
Yes.
And he's like a pet rock, which in a house full of 5 boys.
Yeah.
Best thing ever to get a lizard you could like throw at the wall. It would be like, yep, I'm good.
So my cat's, what's your cat's names?
Sammy, because he's one-eyed. He's only got one eye, so I named him Sammy Davis Jr. II. And my other cat, my black cat, she's named Cerise, and it's spelled S-I-R-I-C, because every other cat except for Sammy that I've ever owned had a palindrome for a name.
Oh, I see. So
that is way involved. See, man.
The cats I used to have were Captain Cat Fantastic, Superhero Warrior Ninja Kitty.
That's good.
And Mr. Zipper T Fluffer Bump Jr. Dr. Esquire III.
Even pretend that you're writing all that down on the vet's paperwork when you're at the vet's.
I did. You know what? The first time I always did because they're like, Captain, oh my God, that's hilarious. That was awesome.
You know, vets got to get some. They look at this paperwork and they're like, "You've got to be kidding! They named it that."
Yes, we did. That's what we do. What do? You give an animal a name and then you give it a nickname.
Yeah.
And then we had a cat a couple of years ago that passed away. He showed up at our house, would never leave. So we just like, I guess he lives here now. The second or third week that he was there, he went outside. Somebody took one of those little like pellet guns, shot his leg. He had to have an ammo. He was our $6,000 free cat. So we had it.
Sweet.
His name though was we called him Threador because he only had 3 legs.
If you abuse animals like that, you're a potential psychotic serial killer.
Yeah.
And you need to just turn yourself in now.
Yeah, I don't think they do that. I don't think they're rare. Sometimes they want to be caught, but most of the time the goal is not to be caught.
Yeah.
That's what Cameron told me.
Yeah, don't treat the animals poorly. That's also kind of how I feel about my kids, though. Like, they just show up, they don't leave. We keep feeding them, and they come back.
It's a mistake.
Yeah, they go out.
One day they're going to leave, and you're like, they're not ever coming back now.
They literally bring back bones. No joke. My garage is full of animal bones because they just roam the neighborhood and surrounding countryside and find things and just bring them back.
Well, my suggestion to you, sir, would be make sure that femur is from a deer and not a person.
Yeah.
Somebody said I should name the cat Tripod. Another person said I had a cat named Damn It. They just walk around and go, damn it. And somebody sent me their card that they have for their service animal, which is, man, it's not hard to go online and order a service animal like vest, and they don't do anything.
I want to get one of those for, hey, my 10-year-old, and just be like, this is a service kid. And just like have him follow me around and be like, service kid, you know.
Oh, my God.
Get him onto airplanes for free.
He doesn't need a seat. He's a service kid. He can run under the plane. It's fine.
What do you think of the drones? What do you think they are?
The Rogan nuke sniffer theory had me a little concerned. This to me.
Well, the thought that they lost radiation, and the guy that's the mayor of, he's like, well, we had an incident where we had some radiation and it disappeared. So then maybe they're doing that. We're like, that's the lead story.
This is how we know we're bad at government. When people, all the way down to the governor of Maryland, are like, I've seen the things. They're in the sky. I can see some stuff, and I don't know what it is. Could somebody please tell me? And the answer appears to be no.
Or it's just a plane. Like, I know what planes look like.
Right.
I've been on a few. I understand that I'm not fitting on that one. Now, Memphis has had a few sightings. But see, here's the thing. It's not hard to go get one of these things. And a lot of people have them. We had one, and my wife took it. We got it for Christmas, and she flew it, and we had it for an hour, and we never saw it again. But
that's how most drones work.
That's how most drones. But it was you're lying to people who are taking photos, by the way, as these things are like 8 feet above their house, and they're like, that's an airplane.
This is a microcosm of where we are with government right now. The government says, don't believe your own eyes and ears.
Yeah.
Don't believe what you see. Believe us, and we can't tell you anything. Well, guys, I understand that there may be reasons that you don't want to talk about that these things, because the small drones, like the ones you and I would get, those are everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Those are way different than what these people are taking pictures of, which are large and, by extension, pretty expensive.
Yeah. Because, I've had a big drone. We had, like a big drone. There's a difference between that and an 8-foot drone,
right.
A drone the size of they're like, it's a hobbyist drone. I'm like, that's not a hobby drone.
Right. A Global Hawk is a drone.
Yeah.
It is also very large.
Yeah.
And so the fact that we have pictures of this stuff, it's more concerning to me that we don't have a clear false explanation from the government. Like, a good leader, even if they're like, guys, this is classified, we can't talk about it, it'll create panic, we need to come up with something. Okay, say, well, this is actually an agricultural survey grid that we deploy. I'm not saying I love that, but I could at least accept that as a way to avoid panic and deal with something that you had to do if it's like a nuke sniffer or whatever, right?
See, and the nuke sniffer thing, I said the other day, look, this is more than likely it's not alien, which is kind of a bummer because I think we use reset. But,
so true.
I said they're probably ours. It's DARPA. They've come up with something crazy. They're practicing. They've told the guys and the generals and everybody who run these bases, we're going to try to breach. Don't shoot them down. We want to see how close we can get. It's that, practice.
Right.
And we're keeping that quiet. But then there was way too many. And then they were coming from places where, like, these are off the ocean. These are things. And then you've got Congress people going, well, I've heard that they're Iran, which Iran has nothing, right? And somebody said, are you sure? I'm like, you know how I know? Because Syria fell.
Right.
And Syria was being held up by Iran and Russia. That's how I know. They've got nothing.
Yeah, and we really need to contextualize some of these things around the world. Like when we're like, North Korea is very concerning. Well, yeah, because they're crazy, but like their economy is the size of Alabama.
Yeah.
So it's not like apples to apples. No. But again, this is leadership. There should be an explanation here, even if it is generic and unsatisfactory, that there's a leader, namely somebody like the president, I don't know.
He's mailed it in.
Right.
And you know what made it more concerning this week is they're out there looking, is it a dirty bomb? Because that was one of the things that I've seen a lot of. Sean Ryan is very interested. You ever watch his podcast? But he had a couple of people on who are former CIA saying, look, 500 to 1,200 people over the last several years have gotten here who are Al-Qaeda sympathizers, Al-Qaeda themselves, and it wouldn't be hard to see how they got in here. It's not hard. And their goal was an October 7th-like thing. You find out stuff's missing. You start thinking dirty bomb. Then you got the president going, well, I'm not going to Delaware this weekend. That feels uncomfortable, right?
Right.
Like, dude, you're 80-something, so really wouldn't, you've been there.
But we need confidence in our leaders now more than we have in a long time, and we are getting the opposite. And this drone thing is just the latest example of...
Well, and I think it would be different, too, if it was the fact that we had that balloon float around us forever and a day. And it's like, it's only a balloon. We've known about it. Like, really? Well, yeah, we kind of did, like mostly. But don't worry, they don't have anything on it. Then we shoot it down. Like, oh, they got everything on it. They're filming us for days.
This is a Chinese spy balloon. It has a bus attached to it that was surveilling us. Oh, Oh, well, then why did we let it do that thing?
Why do we let it fly over every single one of our? It's like it's not real. It's out of control. It's a weather balloon, and it's just remember when China, to their credit, they are great at theater. They fired their head of their weather their weather department because the balloon got out of control when they know it's not a weather balloon.
Right. And so many of this stuff, maybe it's just a giant flex where it's sort of like the Eagles with the tush push.
Yeah.
Like you can see it, you just can't stop it.
Yeah.
And so we're just like, come take your pictures. You can take your pictures. But again, if we were going to do that, we should just say that.
Yeah.
And instead, it's just confusion and chaos. And
that would be a smart thing. Go ahead. We don't care that they take pictures. You know what? We could hand them all the information they want. They still can't figure it out. They can't get it. And that's the flex that I think that, for a lot of people out there who feel uncomfortable with Trump, and there are a lot of people, he's in a much better position than he was before. I was listening to Mark Halperin talk about this, but he's talked to some world leaders who are like, thing about Biden was, much like Obama, he thought he could talk his way out of everything, paralysis by analysis, take everything in, and then kind of ignore it and hope it goes away. With Trump, it's like you may not like where he's going, but he's going to go there, and he's going to go there, and some people are happy with that. Decisions matter, and we have lost that. I mean, and, with Obama, that red line, man, once that red line came and he crossed it, he never went back. He never got his face back. And with Trump, I think we're going to get that, but I would think if Trump, is coming out, come on, guys, tell everybody what this is, because he's getting that information.
Right. And I think what you said is absolutely right. Make decisions. Even if they're not great decisions, make some decisions that have an impact and learn and keep doing it instead of sitting there. Joe Biden fancies himself as a game manager where he's like, I'm just taking it in. I'm just seeing how it goes. No. You're failed because you haven't made choices at critical junctures when it mattered.
Yeah.
And then
hey now.
But when you did make decisions like withdrawing from Afghanistan, it was catastrophic. And those are some of the things where it's, well, I guess the moral of the story is I shouldn't make decisions. Like, no, you made decisions. You should be accountable. You should make better decisions.
Yeah, it says. No, settled that. Was it Gaetz, former defense secretary, said he's known him for 40 years and he's made every foreign decision he's ever made has been wrong.
Yeah.
And he said that in his book. And, I remember Schwarzkopf. I remember somebody talking about him that they were going to move a base. They were going to pick which base was going to close and which one was going to stay open. And they did like a 3-year, because it's government, like a 3 or 4 year research. And he came in, they presented him, each one of them had 5 minutes. And he goes, we're going to go that direction. And his secretary said, why'd you pick that? He goes, somebody's got to make that decision. And either it's going to be right or wrong. But sitting here talking about it for another 3 years isn't going to get it done. And I'm like, that's a decision. That's what it's all about. I had the decision to bring him on today, and I did, even though Matt had the decision to call him and say, hey, I'm not going to be here.
Thank you.
Cam's been in here all day. We're having fun. We're going to wrap it up straight ahead, and Brian's coming up, and we're just having fun. It is the Chad Benson Show. It's noon to 3, starting now, forever. So deal with it right here on Super Talk 99.7. It is the end of the show today. It is the Chad Benson Show. Matt is taking over for this guy, Brian Wilson. Brian, what's happening, man?
Well, we're just trying to stay dry today. I mean, what a rainstorm we've had today. I mean, it came at what we call a frog floater out here in my little town, Watertown.
How bad was it?
I don't know. All I know is that I saw puddles in places that I've never seen puddles before. So it was really coming down. And I was downtown today. I had to drive in. So I have a lot of sympathy if anybody had to drive in the driving rain today. But, hopefully we'll get through that. But, you never curse the rain when you come from West Texas. So
No.
we're happy to have it.
You see, I came from Arizona. So I was like, I was showing the kids outside, Brian. I'm like, this is called rain.
Yeah, this is rain.
It falls from the sky.
Yeah, that's right. And when I grew up in West Texas, we would actually have periods of time where it would go months without rain. And then you would, when it would finally come, some little tiny sprinkly shower, you would go out and stand at it and look in the sky in amazement. Oh, look, it's rain, But here we get more than our share of it at times, and it seems like we got some of that today.
What's on the big program here on the Magical World of Brian Wilson?
I know you've been talking about drones, and I'm going to pick up that conversation because there is nothing I think more fascinating right now than this drone story. I mean, my sense of it is that there's something at the core of this, and then there's a lot of other stuff, and then there's some hysteria a little bit about it, and it's hard to separate the wheat from the chaff here. But at its core, we know that there have been incidents where drones, wherever they came from, whoever is flying the darn things, have actually shut down military bases. They have flown over sensitive military installations. What's that all about? We keep hearing, well, everything we're doing, we see is it's all legal. There's nothing to worry about, says the federal government. Flying drones over military installations is something to be concerned about. Whether they're, hobbyists or whether they're the Chinese or whatever it is, we had 17 days where Langley Air Force Base was closed down and the F-22s couldn't fly because of repeated drone incursions. So I want to talk about that a little bit today. And also I'm fascinated, as long as we're going to talk about that, did they come from China? Some people say maybe they did. One thing we know is the Chinese have infiltrated our telecom systems.
Totally. Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, I said today, if you're wearing a T-shirt from China, chances are it's trying to spy on you.
I'm telling you, that is more concerning, and there's a little bit more that has come out on that, so we'll talk about that as well. So a whole lot coming up here on The Drive, starting after the news with Ken Weaver at 3 o'clock.
Good talking to you, brother. If I don't talk to you before Christmas, Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
It's good. It's a party, guys. Let's get ready for it. It's Chad Benson. I would say I'm in for Matt, but Matt's not back until the man coming up next meanders off into the sunset rather than retires because, somebody like Brian, he never retired. He didn't go away. He's still around. You guys have a blessed rest of your day, and we'll do it again tomorrow right here on Super Talk 99.7.